All right, this is problem 5.5.91, and we're asked to factor, and this has two terms. So the thing that we're trying to factor has two terms, which means we need to think about using a formula. So you always start by thinking about the greatest common factor first, and there isn't one in this problem. So we go then and we think about using a factoring formula to factor this. And we need to see what form it's going to fit. And I can tell by the exponents being fourth powers here that this is going to be the difference of squares formula. So that formula is a squared minus b squared factors into a minus b and a plus b. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to rewrite this in the form of something squared minus something else squared so that we can identify the a and the b in the formula and then plug those in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write 25 as something squared, and I believe that is 25 times 25. Yep, it is. So 625 is the same thing as 25 squared, so I'm writing that in the form of the square. And then v to the fourth can be written as v squared squared. The g to the fourth we're going to write as g squared squared also. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this here as a quantity squared. Okay, so this looks like 25v squared, whole thing being squared, minus g squared squared. Okay, so now we're actually in this form right here. We have something squared minus something else squared. Okay, so let's identify those somethings. So the a here is actually the 25v squared, and the b is g squared. And we're going to go ahead now and stick that into our formula. So this is going to factor into 25v squared minus g squared and 25v squared plus g squared. Okay, but now we actually need to check and make sure that we're done. So we want to look at each of the factors and ask ourselves the question, does this, excuse me, does this factor any further? And this one won't factor any further because of the plus sign. So it doesn't fit the difference of squares form. But this one does. We have something that can be written as a square. We have a square, we have a minus sign, and we have a square. So this, again, just this factor is going to factor further using the difference of squares. Okay, so if I rewrite this, it's 5 squared v squared minus g squared. And again, that's 5v, the whole thing being squared, minus g squared. So if we identify our a and our b, the a is 5v and the b is g. Okay, so just this piece will factor further, and we're going to bring that along. Okay. So, so if we factor that further, then we're going to have 5v minus g and 5v plus g, and that this bit right here is coming from factoring this bit right here. Okay, and then we're going to bring down the 25v squared plus g squared. Okay, so this whole thing right here would be your answer in this problem.